Hello, and welcome to the Ponderings of Pete. I think I kind of like that one a little bit better, so I might stick with that one. Anyways, tonight we're going to be doing my October wrap-up. I didn't really read that many books in October, so I kind of combined it with November's TBR, which is the other part of the video. We'll see which one takes longer, but here we go. So the first book that I read in October was Words of Radiance by Sanderson. Look at this beautiful book. Beautiful cover art. Beautiful cover art. Back art. I don't know. Anyways, this is my second time reading this book. I reread Oathbringer in preparation for Rhythm of War back in September, and then I was like, you know, I've never reread Words of Radiance, so I should probably go back and reread it. So I did, because I could, because I have free time now. So I did that, really loved it. I'm not the biggest fan of the Shallan flashbacks, but I do like Dalinar Still My Man on the flashbacks. I think those were very insightful. But this book has so many good moments in it. I mean, from to Honor is dead, so I'll see what I can do. So many good quotes, so many good moments. If you haven't read it, Stormlight Archive, go read it. Book 4 is coming out in a week and a half, 2 weeks, something like that, 17th. And then Dawnshard, the novella, is supposed to be in my inbox in the next day or two. But we'll get to that, more of that in the November wrap-up. Great book, read it, but read Way of Kings first. Second book I read in October was The Rule of Two. This is the second book in the Darth Bane trilogy. It takes place hundreds of years before The Phantom Menace, which is episode 1, and it tells the reader how the Rule of Two was established. Well, the trilogy as a whole tells this. Darth Bane is a wonderful character, very, solidly evil. I mean, he's a Sith. And it's very interesting to see the development of the Rule of Two philosophy compared to the other Sith that he was dealing with at that point in time, and how he went about that, murder. Yeah. Really good book. Reading the third one in November. We'll talk more about that in the next part of the video. Third book I read in November was The Invisible Life of Addie LaRue by V.E. Schwab. I love this book, and I have a review up on my channel as we speak. Yes, I actually just posted it like 5 minutes ago and decided to film this video next. Go check out the review. This is a beautiful book, beautiful prose, heartbreaking story. Be prepared for emotional pain. But it's good. It's good pain. I promise. So the fourth book that I read this month was Leviathan Wakes by James S.A. Corey, which is actually 2 people, so don't be deceived. This was a buddy read for the Shelf Space Discord server. I recently joined them. It's a really great community of booktubers and readers alike. I was excited to reread this book because I read it a few years ago while I was in college. I read this one. I read the second one, Caliban, the next one, you'll see. And then the third one, which is Abaddon's Gate. I read about halfway through that before school kind of just overwhelmed me and I stopped reading it. So I'm starting to reread the entire series, starting with the buddy read at Shelf Space, which was really nice. It was fun to talk about with people, fun to attend the live show. Go check out Shelf Space. I'll put a link down to the Discord down below. I realized I didn't really say what I thought about the book. I love the book. It's very gritty. It's very realistic. It's, physics. Most of it. Most of the physics makes sense. The rest of it's theoretical. Starts out as a detective story, and, there's war. There's I really like the subtle world building in this book. I hope to have a review out for it soon, so be sure to stay tuned for that. that is actually the last book that I read this month. I only read 4 because time is not my friend all the time. I hope I'm with this next section for my November TBR, I am being a little bit ambitious, so bear with me. November, I'm doing a few more books, as I said. So if I don't get all of them read, I don't get all of them read. I'm kind of more just trying to challenge myself a little bit to see what I can do with very little time. I'm not going to put up reviews for all of these books. If I don't put up a specific review for a book that you're looking forward to a review for, go ahead and check out my wrap-up video, which will be posted probably around the beginning of December, and I'll do short little mini reviews there. So without further ado, the first book that I'm reading in November is Bloodlines. So this book takes place between episode 6 and episode 7, and I'm reading it as part of a buddy read with the Star Wars Book Club Discord that I'm a part of. We do 2 books a month. This is one of them. It's very interesting. Gets an inside look at the politics of the New Republic. I think it takes 30 or 40 years after the Battle of Endor, which, you know, it's interesting to see how far it's come since then. I'm interested in getting to the end of this. The second book that I'm reading, I actually just got an email about. I don't have a physical copy of it, but it is the novella by Brandon Sanderson, Dawnshard. Really excited to read this book. I've been waiting for it since the Kickstarter. It takes place between Oathbringer and Rhythm of War. It'll be nice to read that before Rhythm of War comes out in a few weeks. Really excited. Trip to the island of Amia. Amia? Amia. I don't know how to pronounce these things. The third book, which I probably will read between Dawnshard and Rhythm of War, is Caliban's War. The second book in the Expanse series. Follow-up for Leviathan Wakes. Hopefully I can read 1 or 2 of these per month over the next few months, so I can read all of them. I still actually don't own the rest of them, so here's hoping I can find places to find them, just, you know, at local bookstores and stuff. But reading this, Abandoned Gate, is next month. I'm excited to continue the journey. This is the second time reading this, so I know a little bit about what happens. I know what happens with the proto-molecule. I'm excited to read it and learn more about Earth, Mars, the Belt. The fourth book that I will be reading is another one I don't have a copy of because it hasn't come in the mail yet, and is the much anticipated Rhythm of War by Brandon Sanderson. I'm really excited for the Rhythm of War. I've been reading the chapters have been released online and talking with people on Reddit about that. It's been really fun. I'm excited, and it's been a long time coming. I mean, it's been like a year since I read Oathbringer for the first time, so it's not like I've been waiting as long as Doors of Stone, but, you know, I'm excited. Brandon Sanderson is one of my favorite fantasy authors, and Stormlight Archive is definitely one of my favorite fantasy series. I'm hyped. The fifth book I'm reading this month is The Dynasty of Evil. This is the final book in the Darth Bane trilogy. I'm reading it with the Star Wars Book Club Discord that I mentioned before, and I'll have a link for them down in the description below. I'm excited to read this. I read this trilogy back when I was like 15 or 16. Got it from the library. Really fun series. I'm excited to see if it actually lives up to how I remember it, because, you know, when you read things as you're kids, you get excited, and then you read them as an adult, and you're like, what happened? Like, I don't know. Tastes change, but I remember this being really good, and I hope it is. We'll see. So I plan to have a review up of all 3 books in one, like the entire Darth Bane trilogy. Hopefully, as long as I don't get, you know, swamped by making Rhythm of War videos, because I'm gonna get really excited after Rhythm of War. But yeah, look out for the review of of the entire Darth Bane trilogy. So the 6th book that I'm trying to read this month is a thick one. Not as thick as Rhythm of War, but Memories of Ice, the 3rd book in the Malazan trilogy. And you can blame Andy for making me pronounce it Malazan, because I've been listening to so many of his videos that I'm just like, might as well pronounce it correctly. Third book in the Malazan trilogy. Excited to read this. I love Dead House Gates, Gardens of the Moon. I was like, oh, this is interesting. And I've heard Memories of Ice is a lot of people's favorite book, so that makes me excited because why can't it be my favorite book too? We'll see. This is the 7th book that I'm gonna plan on reading this month. We'll see if I get to it. Schindler's List. I kind of picked this up in a thrift shop ages ago, and I kind of just randomly picked it off my bookshelf this month because I wanted to add another book to the pile. Hopefully I'll get to this. This is honestly probably the lowest priority book on this list. I really do want to read this eventually. Never seen the movie. Eventually I'm going to go see the movie after I read the book because I'm that type of person. Anyways, I know this is a really good book and I know it was a really good movie, so I'm excited to eventually read this. The last book on my list for this month, I don't expect to finish it this month. I actually haven't been reading it for like 2 or 3 months by now, but it's my challenging book. Infinite Jest. This is a very absurd book, and it's the first book I've ever had to have 2 bookmarks for because the endnotes are ginormous. There's 100 pages of endnotes on its own, which is crazy. I don't remember the actual page count. It's like close to 900, not including the endnotes. So it's a big book, and it's really tough to read because the author switches prose and does all these other weird things that cause me to actually look up words, which is actually kind of rare for me. So I eventually will have a review out for this book. Tune in. It'll probably take me to sometime next year to finish it. The last book that I forgot about for a second was the buddy read for Shelf Space for the month of November, which will be The Sword of Kaigen. I've heard good things about this. I've heard it's a good Asian-based fantasy. Few people over at Shelf Space are really excited about it. It's still in the mail for me, so I don't have a copy of it. That's why I forgot it. But I'm excited to read it. It sounds really good. So those are the books I'm going to be reading in November. I don't expect to get all of them, but I'd like to eventually, maybe. Yeah. But go ahead and if you like this video, go ahead, like, comment, subscribe, hit the notification bell so you can catch more of me. And if you'd like to buy any of the books that I talked about in this video, I'm going to have links down below in the description that will take you to bookshop.org. So every time you buy books from there, you're buying from local bookstores. So you're supporting small local businesses in this crazy COVID time. So go ahead and support your local businesses and don't die. That's the most important part.